How do I sound?
Pretty good.
All right, cool. Which is really weird because
You sound like Joe.
my mic is actually over by my monitor.
Like there's a tiny bit of echo, but it's not like seriously affecting the quality, so it's pretty good.
How's that? I moved it closer.
Yeah.
It's a
Like
little. You can hear it a little better, yeah.
Sweet.
So, Nikki, the ice festival went well.
It did. I'm still tired. Not gonna lie. But yeah, we had a really good turnout on Saturday. Almost the same number of people as last year, and that was a non-COVID year, and it was 45 degrees. And on Saturday it was 25 and snowing with wind from the lake, so
Not bad.
yeah, I can't really complain, and most people wore masks, so I was happy about that, and only a couple of hiccups, and one of them was a penis sculpture. Well, it wasn't a penis sculpture, but it looked like one from a certain angle, so that was most of Friday night dealing with that, on top of being on the news like 3 hours in a row.
From a certain point of view.
Famous.
It was, yeah. Well, yeah. So it was a good, rewarding long weekend. I went
I
out
saw some of your
yesterday.
pictures.
Yeah. Well, I went out yesterday and took pictures of all of the 25 sculptures around town. I was seeing cars with like Minnesota plates, but also saw Arkansas, Michigan, and there was one other one, Arizona plates going around.
What the hell are they doing here?
I know, right? It's like, hey, cool, I'm glad you're experiencing my ice festival. I can put you down as out-of-state attendees.
Glad you drove here in the pandemic
Yeah.
to see the ice festival.
From Arizona.
Yeah, it worked out really well. I was pleased.
The reverse snowbirds that come here in the winter and then go to Arizona in the summer.
A truly cursed existence.
But yeah, I'm not doing anything outside of actual work for a couple months now. I'm done for a minute.
That I know that one's like your really big one, so
It's my baby. It was my brainchild for a lot of it. So 6 months, man. That was 6 months of work.
I always love to see the pictures of the sculptures. My brother takes them and whatever, and you had them on up and stuff, and I just like the pictures of the ice sculptures. I think they're so super cool.
We were lucky this year. When they were putting them out, it was overcast and it was cold, so they were nice and clear, and you could just see all the details. But then by Sunday morning, the sun was out, so like half of them are all cracked. But it's over. Yay. Success.
Sweet. Alright, well, do you guys want to recap what happened last time? To the notes.
Well,
Just
when
see
we last
notebooks
left our
everywhere.
heroes, when we last left our heroes, we were in a bit of a standoff at the jail cell. We chased off a vampire, killed an inquisitor, and we had a bunch of archers on the roof. By the grace of Joe, we managed to talk our way out of that situation by insisting there definitely was a vampire and it was definitely the Baron, and that we should work together to hunt the vampire who was responsible for all these nefarious deeds. I may or may not have said that the vampire totally killed the Inquisitor. Haha. And then we also had to reckon with the difficulties of Jewel getting bitten by the vampire, and namely dying and potentially turning. We learned
but
about
now
Jewel.
that shifted onto Ula.
Yep. We learned about Jewel's blood magic in character finally. And we hatched a plan to maybe use that blood magic to get a nice juicy healing spell to break the curse. That did end up working out, but other complications arose. So the next day, we join the remaining troops in going to the Baron's mansion. The trees came alive, ate a lot of people. We eventually cut our way to the mansion, started exploring, found the vampire. First turn, he bit Ula, and we failed another resilience check. But then we beat him up. We
I
got
cut
him.
his arm off.
You cut his arm off, and we almost cut another limb off with another crit. Oh my god, it was so good. But we finally vanquished the beast. The Inquisitors were like, "My work here is done, but you didn't do anything."
Pretty much.
He made a friend.
Yeah.
Asha made a friend, actually. Asha made a friend, and she actually got mad and actually used her magic to attack someone for the first time ever.
You dealt the killing blow too. Burned him
Yes.
away with holy magic.
But she did make a friend with the Inquisitor dude.
And then we found friend is a strong word.
I don't know if he would consider you guys friends.
Oh,
Friend is a
he wouldn't
strong
consider
word.
them friends either, but in my mind they're friends. They're polite adversaries.
They're BFFs now.
I feel
Who
like
has
that
been
frames our
replaced?
actions in a much more sinister light, though. Like, these Inquisitors are our friends. Don't worry about the
Definitely not like that.
10-something people we killed the other night.
It's more like she impressed him with her, I don't know,
Yeah.
stubbornness.
He saluted her with the vampire's severed arm.
I'll admit that was a fun moment.
I'm pretty sure that if the Inquisitor could have, bent the hand into a middle finger, he probably would have.
He definitely has a smidge of respect for Key. Just a smidge.
But anyway, we found the most recent kidnapping victim in the basement. The house started to collapse because of a double triumph and despair combo. Key, I think, used a barrier to keep it alive just long enough for us to escape. And then we just lit the house on fire for good measure in case the vampire tries to come back. And then I think we went back. We rejoined our caravan and we traveled on to Kutrov.
Yep, we caught up with the caravan after we returned the missing lady, and yeah.
If in doubt, burn down the house is kind of like our theme, right? Like, we'll burn the house down.
We were much more careful about the fire this time. We did not light a field on fire.
We've decided that, using magic to light fires is probably not a good idea.
Alright.
So, yeah.
So yeah, it's taking you roughly about, say, 3 days to get to Kutrov. About a day after you got outside of Zavkala, you notice there is no sun. It is nothing but storm clouds. The closer you get, you can see the storm clouds spreading out. Not very fast, It's pretty much like a slow-moving storm, but it's continuous. The closer you get to Kutrov, the rain begins to fall. Starts out as
Do
a
we
little-
meet back up with the caravan?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't think that my bite was taken care of.
No.
No, but we did have plans
So-
to, if nothing else, Daniel is going to augment you before bed each day so that you have, like, if nothing else, an extra green die. And we couldn't identify that you were infected, but we were very suspicious last time, so we're gonna take special care.
Alright, then that means... Let me bring up what it was again. Ah, yes. A nice, daunting resilience check.
And it's per day, isn't it?
Yep. Every day.
I guess we better resolve that, since we've already interrupted your wonderful monologue.
So we got about 3 rolls if she doesn't succeed total that we have to do.
Do we want me to bother rolling for my augment, or do we just say given enough time I could succeed on that?
Yeah, you're not doing anything stressful, so it's easy enough to do.
So does that mean I get an extra green die?
Extra green, yep. Ho ho.
So the first day out, when you get up, Danelle goes through. How do you enhance her? Do you sing a song, play music, just hum?
I think it'll be playing music.
All right. So as he plays, your body finds comfort in the notes, in the tune, which you feel your body kind of boost itself as it's fighting this disease that you picked up after being bitten. Yeah, you're able to fight it off. Feel a lot better.
Oh, thank God.
Now, question is, do you guys still have crits to heal?
I believe Ula has one.
I do, and it's the one that's not super like it's not super important, but we just want to get rid of it so that I don't have that extra.
I can.
Asha's probably our best healer now.
Yeah, I think I might try with a divine magic check.
Okay.
Do I have to? Are we still in that same day or do I need to roll discipline again?
No,
Can't remember
this
if
would
we-
be a different day. This would be the
Okay.
next day.
And it's an easy discipline check, or since it's just magic or healing magic?
Yeah.
Or would it be?
No, you've gotten comfortable using the healing magic.
Well, I also took all of that lovely XP, and because of all of the character growth I've had, put a rank into the talent of dedication and added 1 into willpower.
Very nice.
That's some raw power.
Yeah, well, she earned it. So, all right. Let's try to heal Amy's crit now. You bet your ass I did.
And then some.
Two triumphs in a row?
That willpower, man.
Yeah.
The dice are itching for blood already.
Nah, I'm just happy she's getting him out of the way now.
Out of the way, as if the dice ever stop rolling triumphs.
That's true.
They crit us, we crit them back.
It's a vicious cycle.
Yeah, no, just watch. I need to do some like complicated magic later, and it's like a success, like despair.
6 advantage, no successes.
I lose all of the gains in willpower, and I'm back to having to roll like hard checks for discipline.
You skipped mine day.
Every day
Lost
is
all your
mine day.
gains.
You did leg day, yes, but what about mind day?
All right. Well, you can heal that crit, Amy. It's still showing up on.
Yay, thank you.
session.
Yeah, I haven't changed it yet.
Here, I'll clear that out too.
So we can have a talk about how to heal Ula here, or what to do.
Well, that's the thing. Does she presumably has to keep making those checks each day, right?
No, once she's saved, she's good.
Oh, she's just cured now?
Yep.
Oh shit.
Hot damn.
Well,
Look at you.
because we didn't know shit, I assume that we like continue like taking care of Ula afterwards. Like, no, take your augments. You never know when it might crop up again. We don't know shit about vampires.
And it was like, I feel fine.
Like finding wild garlic and shoving it in her mouth. Like, here, eat this.
We're slowly stockpiling salt and silver just in case. But other than that, I feel like we cut off your monologue earlier.
Oh, that's fine. So yeah, as you guys get close to Kutrov, yeah, it begins to rain. It starts off as a light, like a very, very light mist. And as you get closer, it starts to pick up to a drizzle. Light rain. It gets to the point where you have to cover up. It's almost torrential. You slowly make your way through the gates of the city. Make your way in. There's every now and then, like every other street corner, you'll see a guard. Otherwise, nobody. Could be the weather, could be something else. But as you move around with the caravan heading towards the market location, it's hard to see kind of where you're going because you only have about a block viewing distance before it's blocked off by all the rain. So there's a few times the caravan has to kind of stop, back up, kind of go out and around. You finally make it to what you're assuming is the market area, as you can see some tents and stalls that are set up, but most of them are covered. So, most of them don't have any wares of any sort put out due to the rain. So the Corn basically calls a halt to the convoy and has everybody start positioning their wagons in different areas so they can try to get as much cover as possible. And yeah, they basically hunker down for what seems like the night, but judging, it's maybe noon.
I wonder maybe if we shouldn't have warned them. not to come to this place. They seem like good people, and I just don't know what's going to happen to everyone here.
Well,
Wow.
maybe we get paid and just tell them to move on their way.
Or at least give them the information so that they can make their own decision.
I suppose so.
Jules going to suggest trying to find an inn or someplace to establish ourselves now that we're done with the caravan. Say our goodbyes to the caravan and wish them well, and tell them might not be best to stick around. We have reason to believe.
Yeah, there's been a lot of, even without our prophecy, there's so much shady stuff going on here. This is a lost cause. Yeah, actually, you know what? Daniel will go up to the head of the caravan.
Okay.
And just let him know, I wanted to thank you for all you've done for us over the last few weeks. But I'm not entirely sure if this city is safe after all we've seen on our way here. I hope you and the group take care of yourselves, and hopefully you get out of here sooner rather than later.
Yeah, we're not planning on staying too long. Especially with this
Good. Well, you take care of yourselves. I suppose we'll make our own way.
Thanks for everything you've done. Oh, hold on, before you go. You see him kind of turn around, start digging in one of the wagons. He brings out a bag, holds it out. It's like, don't forget your pay.
Of course. Thank you.
So what do you guys do now? Like, what are your plans?
Well, we have some business in town. We need to do some research.
Fun. Well, good luck with it.
Don't suppose you know anyone in town who specializes in ancient ruins in the area? Particular landmarks?
No. Not exactly my
Fair enough. Well,
Take care.
yes,
Yes.
take care.
Thank you for allowing us to protect your
Travel
caravan.
with you.
Yes.
Thanks for letting us keep you safe.
Yeah, thanks for
yeah.
hiring us.
He doesn't
this
have
is
a clue how the world works, man.
This is what you do when you leave a job. Like, oh man, thank you so much for hiring me. What a great opportunity this was.
So great.
Please give me a nice letter of recommendation to my next boss.
Exactly. This was Key's first job ever, and she almost screwed it up multiple times.
Maybe we'll run into them again.
If they live.
Hopefully, they will live. I like these people.
Anyway, Daniel will pass the cash on to Key to hang on to, because weren't we giving like a lot of our share to Key because of her debt anyway?
That's up to you guys.
It's been so long ago, I barely remember, but I'm fine passing it on to get you out of your debt.
She wasn't expecting it, just so you know.
Uh,
I don't even remember how much we were contracted for. I think it was
don't
something
either.
like
It's-
2
I'm pretty
silver.
Might
sure
be in my
it was
notes somewhere.
200 silver, I think.
Is that in total?
I think each.
Ooh, that's fun. How much did you owe again, though?
20 gold. So I would need much more than...
Oh, isn't that the same?
No.
Isn't 200 silver 20 gold?
That would be 2 gold apiece. Right?
100 silver.
Per 1 gold.
Yeah.
Oh, no, you're right. Sorry, that is 2 gold apiece. No.
Yeah.
I fucked up the exchange.
Yeah, because we're going more in the silver system where gold is. If you get gold, you are rich. I mean, what you guys have right now, you're pretty much rich.
So we just made 8 gold if that was 200 gold pieces or 200 silver per person.
Yep.
Well, you can take my share to add yourself some 200 silver.
Oh, thank you.
Daniel's not going to say anything about it because, like, even now he's still a little too proud to admit that he cares, but he's just going to scoff about it. Like, well, I've already got too much to carry. It's not like I can handle all of this.
He just kind of gets a little choked up with emotion and just like nods at you.
Ula would contribute, but she's like flat broke, and there's a couple things she needs to buy. So
It's okay. She'll hand you your 200 silver, and then same to Jewel.
I can't remember how much silver I had anyway. I'm trying to find it in my sheets.
I still have 12 gold pieces, so I have a lot left. I started pretty rich, actually.
I'm just
and
going
I
to
have a lot left over.
say this now. I try to exchange up, so I'm not carrying 400 pieces of silver with the
It's a little
caravan.
heavy.
Yeah, I guess I had 12 gold sitting around too. I didn't remember that.
Yeah. See, we just haven't spent as much.
We've been hanging out with the caravan and getting fed by Garn.
the
Like,
caravan is going to miss Garn's cooking.
but yeah, I guess I echo. I can't remember if it was who it was who said it, but let's find like an inn to get out of the rain and just start asking around.
So, wandering around, it takes about 5-10 minutes to stumble across a tavern known as. You can see the sign. As you get close, it just kind of swings in the breeze. The occasional flash of lightning helps light up the sign so you can see a little bit better. On the sign, you can see it looks like a man and a woman. And you see a snake kind of coiled up around and then splits off, so one's over each of them and they're facing each other. The sign just says the Hissing Couple Tavern.
Curious to know the story behind that name.
Was Ula or somebody afraid of snakes, or am I misremembering that? Or was it just the spiders that somebody didn't like?
Oh, spiders bad. Didn't we run into snake people though?
We did run into some snake people, and then I just shut them down. Like, oh, we have a deal for you. I was like, nah, not interested. And then we never saw them again.
That's right.
It's like when a telemarketer calls, hey, I've got I'm not interested.
Someone in a cloak comes up to you in a tavern like, hey, I have a deal for you, but it's going to cost you. It's like, no, I'm not interested in losing my soul today, sir.
I've got candy in my wagon.
Although, if it had happened after the prophecies hit, I might have considered it because that was a scary time.
Yeah.
But now we're here, so we have to live with our choices.
Yeah, that was pre zombie people, right?
Yep. We were like on our way for just a jaunt in the mountains.
Yeah, that was the day that we decided to go to the mountains.
Look how far we've come. We're now on the opposite end of the world.
quest worthy. Alright, so as when you guys go into the tavern, I'm gonna do a little change. Who's first? Like, kind of looks like almost like your marching order. Like, who's gonna go in first?
Jewel went in first. She wants to get out of the rain.
Okay. So we're gonna try something different. Just so it's not me always describing stuff. What's the first thing you see when you go in?
First thing Jewel sees is a warm fire because she's been out in the rain. She's miserable. So there's a very large. It's not like a tall fireplace, but it's like a long bank along the one wall. That's all fire, and she's gonna go over and stand by it and warm herself.
Okay. Who's going in next?
Daniel can go in next.
Okay. So when you go in, you see Jewel. Basically, hurry over to the fire and start trying to warm up and dry up at the same time. As you look around, what do you see? What do you smell? What do you notice that sticks out to you?
I'm going to say that the smell that first hits Daniel is what he thinks might be a spice, but it is certainly nothing he has ever smelled before. Like a very acrid scent that seems to be in the cooking, but might just hang around the walls after years and years of bad airflow.
Who's going in next?
I can go in next.
So what do you see? What do you hear? What do you smell, feel as you will enter this tavern?
So the first thing he notices when she walks in is that this is an inn that has a very curious bookshelf, like packed with big leather-bound books, which you don't see very often at inns. But then she hears something go kind of clank on the bar, and so she looks over to see what made the noise.
So I guess that leaves Ula.
Well, Ula and Jorlak come in, and the first thing that everybody that is near the door smells is wet dog. As Jorlak shakes off the water, and then he kind of slinks over by Jewel by the fire. And Ula, when she's looking around, she looks over and her eyes are immediately drawn to the bar where the barkeep has just set down a hearty bowl of stew in front of somebody that is sitting at the bar. And it smells amazing, and her stomach rumbles. So she walks over to the bar and plops down on a seat. And when he reaches her, she asks for some of the stew and some ale, and asks about a room or 3.
So yeah, so the barkeep kind of goes wanders back into the kitchen. Comes back a minute later. Big heaping bowl of stew. Kind of drops it down. Goes, pours the ale, sets that down. Looks. That'll be 2 silver.
Ula pulls out a couple silver and slides it across the bar to him. And then takes a big bite of the stew. And when she swallows, after she swallows, she says, "My compliments to the chef. This is amazing."
I'll let him know.
Is it better than what Garn makes?
Ula would never say that. She's terrified of that little guy.
So as you're saying that, he's just kind of roaming around the bar, but he catches wind of that. Kind of
Ula
stomps
looks
off.
down at him. Ula's like, "Garnt, no, I did not say it was better than yours. I just said my compliments to the chef." She's like, "Oh," and she just kind of mutters. She's like, "Oh, now I'm gonna have to keep my one eye open when I sleep, or he's gonna try to chloroform me."
We know who's getting the guard duty surprise next.
So the barkeep sitting there, kind of hollers over to all you guys. Is there anything I can get you?
Key's still kind of stopped in her tracks, like looking back at all the books, and just kind of looks back. I would love a mug of ale and some stew at one of these tables over here, and she points to the table closest to the bookshelves.
Hot
Alright.
cider and bread, if possible.
All right. Lass over there. You want anything?
Some nice warm mulled wine and how about a roasted pheasant?
Kind of pokes his head through the door. Hey, do we got pheasant? We don't got any dead birds.
All right, I guess I'll go for the stew then, since Ula said it was good. I was gonna say rabbit. We've probably been having rabbit all on the road though, so that's how we try to think of something that we haven't had.
All right. Well, do you want it over there, or where do you want it?
Yeah, here by the fire would be good.
Okay, I'll have some brought over.
"Excuse me, barkeep.
Hey.
Do you have some meat for my wolf friend?"
Kind of look over the counter.
Oh, he's over by Jewel. He's over by Jewel.
Oh, that's right. So yeah, he looks over there. We might have some scraps. I'll ask.
He might just appreciate a bone too, if you have it.
So he kind of heads back into the kitchen area.
Jorlak is just kind of like laying down in front of the fire by Jewel. He's nice and warm and drying off now.
After a few minutes, he comes back out. He's got a tray. It's got a bunch of stew and some meat and drinks. Walks to each of you, kind of sits down. What you ordered. So it'd be 2 silver for Jewel and Asha, whatever. And 1 for Danielle.
We'll slide that over. Thank you, sir.
Yes, thank you.
He wanders back into the kitchen. You see him bring something over to come back out, bring something over to Garn, set some stuff down. Kind of whispers to him for a second, walks over, ends up just kind of dumping a bunch of chunks of meat that's still on like a big leg bone, just dumps it at Jorlak. just wanders back off.
Charlock perks up, sniffs at it, and then he starts happily eating and chewing on the bone.
So Joe, is the common room busy or is it quiet? Are you gonna make me decide that?
So, as you guys are eating, just looking around, there's only like 2 other people in this place. One seems to be an older gentleman, wrapped up in a cloak that you can see has been drying. It's not completely dry, but it's on its way to being dry. The other one seems to be just a younger female. At least you're guessing. She's very feline in appearance. Who's kind of propped up, or her chair's propped up against a wall and she's just passed out. And then there's basically you guys, the barkeep, and whoever's in the kitchen. So after you guys get done eating, the barkeep comes back out, looks at Ula. You said something about needing rooms?
Yes, please.
Alright, well, we've got some open, so how long are you looking to stay?
She glances over at the rest of the group. How long are we planning to stay?
Next few days, at least, I'd think.
Let's just make it a week.
Until the town burns down and demons take over.
Something like that.
Alright, so you said you wanted, what was it, 2, 3, 4 rooms? What are you looking for?
3 should be fine.
Alright. So, I've got the standard rooms, which they don't have much in them other than a bed. Or we've got more of the suites.
What is the suite?
The suite has a better bed, more room. You got it. Dresses up there.
Jewel says she wants a suite. She's willing to pay for it.
Well, considering
Common room's
Ula
fine by
and
me.
considering Ula and Key usually bunk together, we'll probably need a suite.
Alright, so the suites run about 5 silvers a night. Common rooms are 2.
Perfectly fair.
I'll split it with you, Ula.
Okay, so let me see. That'd be 35 divided by 2 is 12. No.
17 and a half.
Yes.
So one pays 18, one pays 17, and we'll flip flop the next time.
I'll pay 18 because I got Jorlak with me.
Fair.
So you guys each, is everybody paying in advance?
Might as well.
Daniel's gonna pay night by night.
Okay. And Joel's already, see ya, bitches.
I got my suite.
Got my sweet. I'm out, bitches. See ya. So, yeah, as you guys pay, he basically hands you keys. See all the rooms upstairs.
Thank you. And Daniel's basically going to turn to the rest of the group and say, the weather is awful, but there's theoretically still quite a bit of daylight. Do we want to try to get some work done today?
I mean, we shouldn't waste time. This is a time is of the essence situation.
Perhaps stow our traveling gear up in the rooms and then reconvene, decide what we're going to do.
Yeah, do we know either from talking from the caravan or someone else? Like, what does this town have? Temples or libraries or like what? Like, do we have a little bit of knowledge of the town?
Yeah, there's a couple different temples. There is a library. It's more, or it's deeper in towards the core of the city. Which this one, I mean, it is a very, very large city. It is, that you'd be able to see had it not be raining right now, but the library is primarily used by those who have a lot of power and influence in the region. It's not very often that commoners are able to just kind of wander in and use it.
And we have certainly not done a great job of endearing ourselves to the reigning church here.
I was thinking the same thing, that maybe we don't go to the temples depending on who they're aligned with.
Yeah, that's probably a good idea.
Actually, this might be the perfect time for me to use my heroic ability. Ask a few preliminary questions, get us maybe started on the right path.
I like it.
But if you guys have things you want to do or roleplay first, do those, because while I try to think of how to phrase my questions, Daniel will just putz around in his room before setting up the incense or something.
Well, Key still hasn't ate her stew. She was planning to peruse a book while doing that. So while she's looking, are there any titles that kind of jump out at her?
Let's see.
Ula's just gonna finish her stew, and she's gonna go check on Jorlak, and then she's gonna, I don't know. I mean, she'll go sit over by Key and kind of look at her, or look at the books, see if there's anything that jumps out at her that she might want to, that might be interesting.
As tempted as Jewel is to take a nap in a bed for the first time in quite a long time, she'll resist the temptation, and instead she'll come down and talk to the other gentleman that was in the common room. Looked like he'd come in from the rain too.
Okay. Alright, so looking at the books on the shelves and the large tomes that are there, a few kind of pop out that seem a little strange to Asha. One is the Arcane Fragments of Maine. Another
Like Maine, like Main.
Mane.
Okay.
Or I guess you could pronounce it Manet.
Sure.
Why not? One is called Boris Parchments. There's one really strange one called the Grimoire of Psychometabolism. There's another one, kind of piques your interest a little bit. Menecid's Compendium of Chance. But the one that really snags your eye as you read over the title is the Compendium of the Celestial Plane.
I will start reading that because it's relevant to what we've got going on, even though she desperately wants to read the Compendium of Chance. That's next.
Alright. What was Ula doing? Just
Oh,
hanging
after
out?
she finished eating, she was going to go and look at the books as well, see if there was anything else.
Before we get to Ula here. So Jewel, as you approach the older gentleman that's in the tavern, as you get closer, you can tell he has seen many, many, many winters. Give me a hard perception really. Let's do this. Give me a average intellect.
Sorry, the game screen's acting funny for me. Hold on.
Not a problem.
Okay, sorry, you said average perception?
An average intellect.
Which type of intellect? Like adventuring?
Nope, just an intellect check.
No skills, just raw brain.
Yep. Alright. So, as you approach this gentleman, you notice that sitting kind of against the wall next to him is a wooden staff. Catches your eye because the way it's topped, you vaguely remember. And as you approach and you can start to see his face, he looks up. Wow, what can I do for you? And you recognize him from the tavern that you guys were in
At the very start,
at the very start. Yeah,
because I was looking at his name in my notes a few minutes ago and thinking, I wonder when this guy's going to show up again.
Yep, back in
Eminar, right?
yeah. So yeah, back in Cabaret. He just looked at you. Well, what can I do for you?
So Jewel recognizes him. That
Yes.
would okay. So Jewel's gonna acknowledge that she thinks our paths have crossed and mention that she thinks that we saw that we were also traveling together in Kebury approximately, what's it been, like 6 weeks ago or something, however long it's been.
Yeah, it's been a while. It's been about maybe close to 3 months. So he looks at you, he's like, I think I would remember if I saw you.
I am pretty memorable. But fair is fair enough. We're just going to make small talk, ask him if he's been in town long, where he's traveling to, what he thinks of the weather, those basic inn things that you do in an inn.
The usual small talk. Like, oh, I just got in. I just got in here about an hour ago. I got here about a day ago. It's pretty wet out there.
Yeah, that's quite some weather. We ran into it a day out of town, and it seems like it just won't let up. Have you been here before? This is my first time.
Not in a long, long time. Waiting to see how things go here.
Oh yeah, do you have plans you're hoping to make?
No, just want to see what happens. I've just got this feeling.
Is
This
it
motherfucker turns out to have been Yelnellis all along.
is it a good feeling or a feeling you're worried about?
It
Are you a
varies.
good witch or a bad witch?
Some days it's fine, some days it's not so fine. But, life is pretty crazy, right? Lots of weird stuff happens all the time.
That's true. My old Nan, she could tell you trouble coming a week ahead of time. She knew it was there. She said she could just feel it.
Well, some people can do it. Some people can't. Some people try. Some people die.
Jorlak kind of comes up to Jewel and starts like sniffing the guy. He's not gonna he's not growling or anything yet, but he's just kind of interested, like, who is this person that my friend is talking to and what's going on?
So, as Trark kind of looks at him, seems like, oh, hello there. Just reaches his hand out, just kind of starts petting the top of his head. And first you see Trark kind of pull back, but then just lays down right next to him. It's like, ugh, now my hand's gonna smell like wet dog.
Hey, he's dry. He's been laying in front of the fire.
It still lingers.
Jewel's gonna check the old man's teeth the next time he smiles or talks to see if they're pointed, seeming as Jorlek seems to like vampires.
Good call, good call.
He looks at him. So, what brings you here?
Just gonna tell them that we were guarding a caravan, made our way up here, and now we've arrived in the city. She's gonna she's gonna leave out parts that we tried to get here. She's gonna make it more sound like we just ended up here. I'll even throw a line in there, something about how fate seems to have led us here. Maybe for a reason.
Yeah, fate's a pretty fickle thing. If the sisters want you, then they try to nudge you in little directions. Make you think you've got a choice in the matters. Sometimes you do, sometimes you don't.
Jewel says she'll drink to that, and she asks the gentleman what he's drinking, and is willing to buy him another one if his glass is near empty.
So he kind of picks up his cup and he's like, I don't want to break your bank. I've just got water. I gotta keep my head nice and clear for what's ahead.
Jewel's got
Yeah.
nothing at this point.
Out of curiosity, was Daniel able to notice any of this going on off to the side, like finishing up his meal in the room?
Yeah, I mean, it wouldn't be that difficult just because you guys are the only ones in the place, so it's not like it's loud. It's not, smoke everywhere. It's just you guys, the fire. So you're able to kind of pick up, not the whole conversation, but just little bits.
From a distance, would it even be possible for Daniel to recognize him, or would he just be like, cloaked man?
From where you're sitting, you probably wouldn't be able to, but like if you got to move around so you can get more of a straight shot at his face, you'd probably have a better chance.
I'm torn because on the one hand, it's not completely implausible for Daniel to want to hear what's going on. But on the other hand, I don't feel like Daniel has a strong reason to snoop or like try to get in on this conversation. And I don't want to metagame too hard just because interesting things are happening over here. What if we say that through a whim of fate, he goes up to like get a refill or put aside a platter and passes close by?
Jewel asked the gentleman about his walking staff. That looks interesting. Maybe that'll happen right as Daniel walks by.
So you ask about it. He's like, oh, this old thing? Kind of grabs it, taps on the ground, and when he does, you see it's not bright, but you notice a definite, almost flare in the light in the whole room. Like, Starshine and I have been together for quite a while.
Jewel will hand over. She's got her staff thing that's now imbued with whatever that rock is that lets me take back strain and
At random rock.
The stress rock.
Rocket, yeah.
the rock of comfort. It relieves my strain.
So he kind of takes and looks at him. Oh, I haven't seen one of those in a while. Where'd you find that?
As I'm traveling with the caravan, we came across some interesting merchants.
Yeah, Oh, they're rare nowadays. Never used to be. There was a time when you could find those anywhere. They were easy to make. Not so much anymore. Not after the Mage Wars.
And Jewel knows that the Mage Wars were like many lifetimes ago, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm just making sure I'm piecing this together in what Jewel knows.
So yeah, make sure you keep that safe because they're hard to come by. Worth a lot too, I'm sure.
Jewel says that she plans to guard it with her life. Maybe one day when she's old, she'll tell a young whippersnapper about her staff.
Oh, that's part of the dream, isn't it? Part of the dream.
Oh my god.
Living the dream.
Passing on the knowledge.
Ah,
So yeah, Danil moves to bring his bull back up to the bar. Give me a average intellect.
I guarantee Key's hearing none of this. She is in the book.
Hey.
Woohoo.
So yeah, you don't recognize him as Yalars, but you do recognize this old man from one that you had spoken to way back in Cabaret.
So as Daniel walks back, he gives a bit of a double take, looks again just to be sure. He doesn't intrude on the conversation, but he has definitely now made up his mind what he's going to ask. And so he leaves Jewel still talking with the old man and hurries up to the room upstairs to try to perform his ritual, ask his questions.
All right.
So he lights the incense, he gets it going. I flip a pip to activate my power. And because of the duration I've added, I now get 3 questions.
Nice.
All
right, so before we do that, let's take a quick break.
Oh, makes sense.
Alright, and we're back. Alright, so you are now up in your room. You have your incense going. Begin to go through your usual ritual to speak to those spirits that will answer, hopefully. Takes only a few minutes, and your room is just completely full of smoke.
So the first question, he'll clear his throat and say, can Eminar teach us something about the threat we came here to face?
So as your words go out into the smoke-filled room, you begin to see motion. Just kind of like before, you see them, figures just swirling around you. And at one point, one of them stops. Yes. Keeps moving.
Is he a foe?
The swirling continues. One stops, it's almost right in your face. Just, no. Keeps moving on.
I'm actually reconsidering one of my questions now because I'm not sure if it was relevant anymore. After all this time, extra time you gave me. No, fuck it. We'll just do something. Will we need to enter a temple in this city to get what we need?
So this one takes a little bit longer. You can almost hear whispers in the smoke. You can't hear it, you can't make it out, but you can just hear going on throughout the smoke as it swirls around. And then you don't see one stop in front of you, but you can feel one nearby, and from behind, just over your shoulder. No. Then the
Alrighty.
swirl picks up, and also just poof, gone.
All right, then. Come out of a trance, dust himself off, step out of the room, march back downstairs, right over to Jewel and Eminar, and say, I don't mean to intrude upon your conversation, but did you call yourself Eminar?
Yeah, I think that's what. Sounds about right.
Pardon me for saying so, but we spoke back in Kedbury a few months ago.
Was I in Cadbury? I don't remember being there.
Well, you see, it was the strangest thing. I came to that town looking for someone. You ever met a man? He was a dwarf, worked at the university. Name of Yasmod Hardbrand.
Rings a bell. Kind of a gruff type. Well, I can't really say that because most of the dwarves are. If you can find them. It sounds kind of familiar.
Well, see, he said there was someone who could help me out. I had actually come there searching for him, but we just missed each other, I guess. Someone by the name of Yel Nellis. That name doesn't mean anything to you, does it?
It, does he like to try to see things before it happens? He- Was he? It sort of rings a bell, but I can't quite remember. I remember there was a gentleman I met. We talked for a while when we were traveling. He would always talk, always saying he was searching for something. He was trying to find something about future. So,
Well, regardless, I think we may have come to this city for the same reason. And I at least would be interested in listening to learn what you know, and if you can help us to understand.
I guess that would depend on how much time do you have. I've lived a very long time.
Well, I fear my powers of foresight are not quite strong enough to know that just yet. But I guess as much time as it takes, such that I am able.
Well, then, I guess I do like telling a good story, so what would you like to know?
I saw once in a dream a black palace, almost looked like it was made of glass, overlooking this city high in the mountains. Have you ever heard of such a place?
Yeah, I've seen a place like that. You'd see it now if it wasn't raining.
Do you know if that's involved with this rain, all of the curses that have been falling on this land?
It's very possible. Lands haven't seen this type of situation for a long time.
When was the last time?
I'd say at least 200 years.
Out of character, would that line up with something big that we'd know about, like the Mage Wars or anything like that?
The Mage Wars happened before that. Let's see. What would you know? Give me a hard lore check. Let's see if that would click in.
Boo.
Yeah, it doesn't. Nothing comes to mind.
And just to make sure my timeline is right, all that Dragon Rider stuff we learned about with the One City, that was that before the Mage Wars as well?
No, that was after.
Okay. I fear I'm not familiar. What happened 200 years ago?
There was a. Oh, here. Hold on. Come on, everybody. You might as well come and sit and get some drinks and listen for a while.
Is someone gonna come and grab me because I'm literally reading and not paying attention to a single thing this man's saying?
I'm over by you, but I'm like half paying attention to him. So I will kind of like tap you and be like, I think we should go listen. He wants us to go listen.
Huh? She looks over. Okay. Would we all recognize him? Or do I have to roll to see if I recognize him too?
Yeah, you'd have to see if you can basically remember his face.
Memory is what again?
At this point, Jewel could tell him. I mean, right? Like Jewel would be like, "You guys remember this guy when we were back in like the town now, Kavanaugh, whatever."
Cadbury.
Cadbury.
Carberry. This is the same gentleman.
Oh. That piques Asha's interest.
Of course, Asha, you weren't there though. Asha wasn't there.
Asha was there, just not as Asha.
Trifling details. But anyway,
Potato, potato.
your story, sir.
You see him kind of turn his chair, sits in, starts getting a little more comfortable. Oh, about 200 years ago. It's probably been lost to most records. There was a dispute among the celestial beings. The gods, if you will. During that time, it is said that there was a lot of backstabbing and betrayal among those who rule over us. Those who were around to see it always referred to it as the Celestial War. At one time, there used to be, in records, that if you can find the right library to go to, roughly about 30 different deities that used to try to interfere with most of the world. They all had their own vision of how they wanted it to be, how they wanted it to look, how it should have been controlled. At one point, there was a younger god that decided he wanted to strike out on his own. There's a lot that didn't like that, but he didn't know exactly how he would go about doing it, as he was generally locked with all the others. So he began looking for a little pawn. What he found was here. There was a young mage that was dabbling in things that he shouldn't have. More of this, the forbidden knowledge of life and magic.
Jewel assumes this young mage dabbling in things is the hero of the story.
He was easily manipulated by the god. I believe his name was Umir. He was able to, listening to the whispers, Umir started to delve deeper into the forbidden knowledge. Started trying to look into amassing an army. He never knew why. He just knew he needed to. The whole time, he was hiring folks to raid graveyards and tombs and bring any bodies that he could find back to his little workshop that he had. He would sit there and dabble with necromancy and even some transmogrification to try to mutate these bodies into other beings and then raise them. The god Wenos took notice of this and decided that is not a normal behavior for a young mage. He's using abilities and powers that are way beyond his grasp. What Wenos didn't know was that Timas, the one that had been whispering to him, when he was doing it, was basically preparing this young mage to act almost as a vessel for him. To say, what better way to take control of something than to be in that area you want to take control. Once Wenos had had found that out, he began to put his own little works in play among some other of the devout followers of his. That started what's known as the Clash of Shields, where these devout followers were launching campaigns against Umir and his undead. At one point, Timas had started speaking with some of the other Celestials and began to actually turn them to his side, because they were starting to think along the same lines of, hey, we can run things better, we can set up a council to do this, we'll all have a say in what happens. Once more started breaking away, that was, almost an unforgivable sin. So the goddess Adriel began her own little war council, and their plan was to hunt down all of these rogue gods, these fallen ones, and bring them back over to their side, or at least get them under their control, or they needed to be destroyed. Well, once the first god fell, everything broke loose. The heavens were alight with fire as the war among the gods began. Hence the Celestial War. This raged for about half a century. The mortals of the world were just dying, and at that time we were pretty much beneath their notice. They didn't care. As long as they had control, That's all the gods wanted. Well, knowing that, even many of the devout followers began to lose faith in their gods. There's one little secret that a lot of people don't know. Without us, without our faith, the gods have nothing. They get weak. They wither. They die. Though they grant their followers abilities and powers, our prayers are what feed them, so they can give those powers. So as the race, or the different species here on the world began to stop their prayers, because they wanted it to end. No matter how hard they prayed, no matter who they called to, their people died. And there's nothing they could do to stop it. The end finally came when Timas finally took control of Amir. And on the Tower of Glass is where the final battle raged. He kind of motions towards the door. If you were to look outside, most of this wasn't here. The city wasn't here. All there was at this time was blood and bodies. But up on the battlements is where Timas, or Umir, however you want to see him as, met with Adriel. And she tried as hard as she could to bring him back. For the main reason being, Timas was one of her brothers. He had turned, or she had found out one of the main reasons he had turned is because he was jealous of the power that she had been gaining. She was essentially the favorite among the gods. And that kind of rubbed him the wrong way. So, she knew she had to meet him to try to convince him to come back. To prove to him that, no, you all can be forgiven, you just need to return. Well, that didn't happen. He lashed out at her as hard as he could. Storms raged. Screams were heard. What Adriel had not known, somehow she didn't see it, he had managed to open a rift to the Hells and just let everything run free. So now you have all of these undead. Now you've got all these demons and devils running around. And you've got one human army and the Celestials trying to battle it all out. Adriel was able to defeat Timas. In so doing, it's believed she had killed him. Some people think he may have just departed for a while. Is he losing a lot of his strength in the summonings and the battle that he just disappeared somewhere? So if he was to ever return, it would not be good. Though he's nowhere near as strong as he used to be, as he doesn't have any followers anymore. At least none that I know of, at least. He would be very weak, but still very dangerous. And if he was to actually gain followers, this world would, or at least around here, this continent, would be in a very bad shape. Does that help?
Yes, I think that helps quite a bit.
Out of character again, Joe, I wonder when you're going to start publishing these stories, because you have so many good ones.
I have a hard enough time writing them down.
Mm-hmm. They're good though.
Well, some of what you have described sounds an awful lot like what we've noticed here.
We've also
I
dreamed
fear.
it.
Yeah, at this point, Jules going to let her guard down. Like her guard's been up and not knowing whether she can trust him, but she's gonna let her guard down and tell him some of the things that we have experienced, and even go as far as talk about the dreams that we've had, that have led us to this place. That it was not. She's going to change her, tell the truth now and say it was not by chance that we ended up here, but it was on purpose that we came here.
Well, I guess the fates are trying to tell you something. But you gotta be careful of those sisters. They are very tricky.
One more question, though.
Only one?
Well, if I'm allowed more, maybe.
Let's
But
see.
you speak about these celestials as if you were one of them.
No. Never one of them. I've seen my fair share of them. Spoken to my fair share of them. But never one of them.
Fair enough.
You all need to be careful on your next steps. Or what your dreams are suggesting. If something is coming, which kind of give me a better idea as to the feelings I've been having. You need to either be far, far away from here, or be very, very prepared. Because if TMS was to return, it's going to be nasty.
How does one even prepare to fight a god? Even a downcast one?
That, my dear boy, you will need to find out. I cannot help you there. I only saw it. I never took part.
Well, thank you then for everything you've told us. Are you intending to stay here long?
Well, I might. I know I need to go and see some more and do some things. But I'll be watching. I'll I'll be back around.
Well, thank you. We will keep our eyes out for you.
Well,
And then to the rest of the group, I guess. So, what now then?
Now I think I need to go back to that compendium I was reading and learn all I can about this Steamus.
We may need to hunt down some followers of his if people are trying to restore this god to power. Oh, here's a question. I know he was all about dark arts and undead and demons and all that, but don't most gods have an aspect? What was he the god of back in the day?
well, you're gonna find this kind of funny. He was actually was known as one of the gods of abundance. But apparently he did not have quite as much as he wanted.
Perhaps he was looking for an abundance of undead.
That's certainly one way to phrase it.
Those who have always want more.
You say if we leave, we can. Are you saying if we leave, we can avoid our fate here?
Well, if your dreams have shown you, or the fates have shown you, what is to come, then your fates may be sealed. But at the same time, depending on how you believe the fates work, either you're a slave to your fate, or you create your own. That's why you've always got to be careful when the sisters show you something.
Out of character, how should we spell that god's name?
Timus?
Yes.
Temus.
Tmus. Thank you.
So, what are your plans now? Have they changed? Are you still going to charge on towards your fate?
I will take my fate into my own hands as I have since I left.
Good girl.
We will continue to bluff and make it up as we go along. And maybe someday that will actually work out for us.
Well, you can always try.
Jewel's going to turn on her charm and she's going to comment. Yeah, her charm that never works. Let's just put it that way. But she thinks she has it. She's going to comment on how much he appreciated her staff and how it reminded him of his past, and wonder if he wants to trade.
Does Jewel still think that the mage was the hero of the story?
No, she thinks that no, she figured it wasn't. But initially, she thought that he was the hero of the story.
Okay. I had to ask.
Well,
Jewel, talk about how if our fate if our fate lies with defeating this, that we'll need all the help we can get, and there's nothing that can complete someone's life in the autumn of their life as helping those that are still in the spring of their life.
I'll make
Who was just kind of looking at you like, why are you talking about the seasons?
I'll make you a deal. Well, let me ask you this before we strike this. When is this your dreams? When was it to happen?
I don't think we know, do we? Like out of character, like we're unsure.
We have no idea.
Yeah, the dreams were ambiguous. We weren't even sure we were going to make it here before the events happened.
So, you don't know when they're gonna happen, but you came already. Foolish. Brave, but foolish.
Apt description of our group. That was out of
Pretty
character.
much.
But I'll make you a deal. When the time is needed, or when the omens are aligned for these events to take place, find me.
Jewel is satisfied with that. Like it's not the answer she wanted, but what's one she'll accept.
Actually, I can think of at least one other thing I'd like to ask. Speaking of taking fate into our own hands and putting us on the right course to deal with our problems. Do you know anything about dragons?
Dragons? I haven't seen a dragon in a long time.
Yeah, so I've heard.
Big, smelly, know-it-alls. Mean.
Been reading quite a bit about them. Oh, no, go ahead.
Oh, no, just throwing in mean.
Been reading quite a bit about them and their history, and when many of them departed after a similar period of internal strife and power grabs.
Oh, yeah.
Wonder if you know anything about where some of them went off to.
Some sleep. Some have made their little homes or lairs or whatever they call them. A lot of them in mountains. Some, I've heard stories that there may be some in the ocean. Over in the Tinted Sea, actually. Deep down, there's supposed to be a slumbering dragon. I haven't seen it, so I don't know. Some of them, however, have departed this plane of existence. Where did they go exactly? I couldn't tell you. Will they come back? If the time is right? perhaps. No, you get the. Now you only get the occasional little feral dragon that will show up somewhere, do some little rampaging, and then disappear. So some of them are coming and going.
And you don't know how to follow that trail?
I'm sure there's ways to track it. That's not exactly my specialty.
Fair enough.
I would say if you wanted to find one, you may be able to find some. I'd have to say probably Sundered Peaks.
Yes, where we came from.
I was gonna say, isn't that where we were?
That's where we potentially saw one, yes. As
Yeah,
they're fleeing the zombies.
we've done the classic skip to the end of the game when we weren't ready yet. Now this NPC is just like, why are you even here?
Although if you go
You were
towards,
fighting vampires underleveled.
if you go to the go west, go through the Frostfell Mountains. If you can make it to the Ice Crown Mountains, you may find one there.
That's a long way.
It is. I do remember speaking to one. It was many years ago. He was traveling, just almost on a vacation, if you will. And he always talked about wanting to see the ice-crowned mountains. I lost touch with him. That's about the best I can do. Again, there hasn't been too many dragons. If they come back, that would be quite interesting event. You see him just kind of like, he's just staring off into space.
Joe's gonna offer a second time to buy him a drink. Ask him if he wants one now.
Sure, I'll take a wine. What a nice glass of warm wine.
Joe will go up to the bar and ask for some mulled wine.
Bargain. Alright, there you go. Slide the mug over.
Joe bring it to him.
Thank you.
So, one of the things that I'm still not sure on, as you had said, when the omens are right to come find you, the way the weather is and just how the feel is of this place, how are we supposed to know what omens to be looking for? Because this feels very ominous to me.
So he kind of just looks at you and smiles and just focuses on you for a little bit. When the omens appear, you'll know. Storms come, storms go. This could be a sign of somebody returning, or it could be somebody practicing some sort of magic, Or it could be something else. Just because something looks bad doesn't always mean it's bad.
Jewel drinks to that.
Key will shake her head in agreement. She won't say much else, though. She's got a lot to think about.
But as for the omens, I would say when the red star appears in the eastern sky and the ash tree blooms with silver flowers, that would be when you need to come and find me.
Key will bow her head respectfully, acknowledging essentially this prophecy.
Ula will also, but she's still really like going round and round in her head about the stupid fates. Like, it's just chasing itself. It's just chasing its tail in her head.
So
Picture as Ula's like thinking about that in her head, like Jorlak starts to actually chase his tail like on the ground. Like somehow they're linked.
I'm about to do something gutsy because I feel like the outcomes will be interesting either way.
Are you gonna attack him?
Daniel is going to say, I suppose while I'm thinking of it, there is one other problem we haven't found a good solution for. He's going to reach into his pockets and just idly slide a certain coin out onto the table they're sitting around and just say, it's a difficult thing to talk about. I wouldn't even know where to start. Just like put a few other random objects next to it, just like idly emptying his pockets, just like.
You were reading Key's mind. She was trying to figure out a way to bring it up without bringing it up.
Like, I don't think this really does us any good if he's actively watching us because it's obvious what we're doing, but
We're not saying anything about it.
if he wants to send his hit squad after us, fucking let him. He can get in line.
True. Maybe we can turn them and they can help us fight the god.
Look, now that we know that gods are powered by prayer, obviously the campaign is now to just get one of ourselves worshipped, and we just go around proselytizing wherever we go, build ourselves up to fight the Dark Lord.
Jewel, of course, nominates herself for that. Like she knows that she wants to be worshipped.
Be like trying to.
Actually, I was kind of thinking Asha.
I'd say it'd be like trying to vote in a new king for the Pirates' Court.
I mean, I do
Jewel
have
nominates
one
Jewel.
semi-fowler. Got one so far.
So as you. Here, hold on. Let me do this.
So is it cats or kids up to mischief?
Neither. I'm asking kid, do me a favor. It's fun. It's nice having minions.
You don't own me.
I just had to grab something a cut for a prop or a different adventure if I ever get to run it.
Ooh.
But it'll work for this. So as you put all that stuff out on the table next to him, just kind of grab. I haven't seen one of these in quite a while. Where'd you pick it up at?
Oh, that. It was a gift foisted upon us. Down south.
Down south, you say? Whereabouts down south?
Not too far from where we first met you.
In a place that doesn't exist anymore, oddly enough.
A place that might have dragons.
That's where I was going.
That's possible. I think I know what you're trying to dodge around.
Nothing.
Keeping my mouth firmly shut.
So, what do you want to know about this little coin here?
How to rid ourselves.
We find ourselves in an interesting predicament where we can't necessarily just dispose of it without, giving up the game. But we don't really care to be under the thumb of this, whatever they are.
Giftor.
Sure. And who knows, maybe they have some connection to whatever this all is. We had dreams that were quite similar and around the same time.
How many more of these do you have?
Just the one. Plus mine. I meant to say, like, just the two, but it came out just the one.
It's late, I can't math.
So
I'm also still exhausted from the weekend. Sorry.
It's alright, I can't math on a good day.
So what did you do to acquire one of these from the old coot?
Well, I suppose we wandered in where we weren't welcome. And to ensure our secrecy, these were given to us to keep an eye on us.
So you're okay.
For all we know, it could be some kind of scam, an empty threat, but with artifacts like these,
So he holds out his hand towards Key. He's like, let me see your coin.
She'll hand it over.
He's like, alright. Do you mind if I keep them with me?
be our guest.
At this point, if they come for us, they come for us.
Oh, they might. If they ever leave their little mountain, but they rarely do. He just starts staring at him. He's like, yeah, I'm talking to you. You see him just drop them both into his wine. Okay. So you may get a
Well played, Daniil.
You may get a visit from some of their folk, but as long as you don't pose too much of a threat to them, they'll leave you alone.
For now, at least, we have no strong quarrel with them.
It was never our intention to bring them up ever again.
Literally, we just, we're now on, how many hundreds and thousands of miles away.
We just wanted to be rid of their watchful eye.
We have bigger fish to fry.
Always have.
Well, I wouldn't worry too much about them.
Well, if they do decide to bother us, we'll at least know to be ready this time.
Always stay prepared.
Getting a little ahead of myself, but tonight when Jewel goes to bed, she's going to stand in front of the mirror and 3 times say, Vur Kazoth, Vur Kazoth, Vur Kazoth, to see if anything happens.
Okay. So he looks around. Well, I should be going. Got a lot to do.
Thank you for the time you've spent with us and the help you've given.
It's not too often that the younger folk decide to listen to a crazy old man. So I appreciate it.
Well, in that case, until we meet again.
Indeed. Indeed, young Dino.
As he gets up, Jewel's going to mock, hand him her staff and take his, and then give him the real one instead. Kind of just play the game at it.
Very cute. Very cute.
Why are you the worst, Jewel?
She's not the worst. She just keeps things lively. He just slowly makes his way out the door. And as you guys watch, you see the door start to close. The rain's, it's falling hard. He makes it about 4 steps out and just gone.
Ula puts her arm around Jewel. She's like, I don't think you're the worst, Jewel. I think you're the best.
He's just shaking her head. That was the most eminent person we've been in contact with, and we just treated him with such disrespect.
Jewel's in awe too, but she'll put her arm around Ula and appreciate the camaraderie. And she knows that Daniel doesn't really mean it either. So
True.
Oh, really?
Is that so?
I know you don't really mean it. No, I really do.
out of character, I was going to say, Tom, when you were asking about is this guy an enemy, I was privately proud that you did not ask if Jewel was an enemy.
No, come on.
That may come later.
When you trusted us with your blood magic secret, I think we all agreed to trust you.
Will Jewel do something underhanded to us in the future? Yeah, maybe. Who can say? The campaign's still young, but like, for one thing, it would be a waste of time from a metagaming perspective as well, because I'm asking Joe for knowledge of the one thing he does not really have, which is whatever you are going to do in the future.
Maybe I do, maybe I don't.
Good point.
I'm just putting it out there. If you ever betrayed her, Ula would be very sad.
Not Ula will hunt you down. Ula will be very
Very
sad.
Disappointed. She'll only hunt you down if you hurt or take Jorlak. Otherwise, she'll just be really disappointed in you.
Key will respond in equal measure. And how that manifests itself, she doesn't know.
But to be fair, Ula would never expect it to, so that's why she would be extra sad.
You would get a
I
strongly.
gave her earrings to match her helmet. We're BFFs now.
You would get a strongly worded letter.
So
With
I suppose.
orc tears on the bottom.
So I suppose we have a few different leads now. We've potentially come here far too soon. Just drawn here because we didn't have anything better to do with our lives. But we know who our enemy is. We have some idea of how we could weaken them, preventing this god from finding new followers and recreating his cult. That will be critical. We have some leads for a few of our other mysteries. I could travel in search of dragons or whatever other fantastical powers we might seek. And like always, we don't have a clear, straightforward direction in front of us.
We could also build up the pantheon of those that would oppose him.
I admit I actually cut in the opposite direction. I admit that I am not well versed on the lore of the gods, but
Key holds up her compendium that she just found. Well, give me some time. Let me read through this, and I will have the knowledge you seek.
indeed. But I drift the other way in that the gods have not shown a higher level of discernment or care than regular mortals. Everything we've just learned tonight indicates that they are people like any others, just those that wield extraordinary power. I lean much more towards the idea of perhaps undermining divinity as a whole.
So privately, Key is going to disagree with you because
Y-
all
I
of her
say
magic
to-
is divine.
I say
and-
to a user of divine magic.
She's also like pretty positive that her goddess saved her for a reason. So
But
Neil's
perhaps
like, let me burn the churches down. Let me burn them all down.
it's like, my divine magic has saved your ass how many times?
no, I don't.
Well,
I don't doubt.
this is what's going on in her brain, and she's just kind of looking at you like, well, let me read the book, and then we can decide.
Certainly. I just wonder, what if we were to put people's faith in something different, other than a being? Would that gain the same power as a god? Could we reshape reality itself?
Like an idol?
Not an idol exactly, but what if we gave that kind of power to an idea? Something different than just god of whatever, but could we create something different, like a shared divinity?
Or would that create a god in itself? A new god?
Maybe. I may just be running in circles here, but interesting
character.
hypothesis to test.
Out of character, this is all reminding me of American Gods if you've never read the book.
Oh, I'm
Yes,
familiar.
I just rewatched season 1. Like I was just thinking, I was
Oh.
totally thinking about that all night.
Season 2 is out right now.
Oh
or
shit.
it's coming out right, like it's on like episode 3 or something. But this is all very American Gods to me.
Totally.
Well, I say we sleep on it,
Sleep on it and do what we do best.
wing it,
Read books.
and wing it.
That
Yeah,
too,
I imagine it was
suppose.
like we ate our noon meal when we first got here, and we all had plans to go somewhere, and now we like realize like the whole day has gone by and it's already night or something like that. As this guy was telling us these stories.
I'm guaranteeing you that took hours to get through.
And we kept being like, hey, tell us about this other thing. Tell us about this other thing while we've got you here. Mr. Loreman.
Story time, story time.
Give us the lore.
Hey, when you've got really cool characters that are popping up more than once in a session, then you pay attention to what they have to say.
It was so funny too, because I pulled up my notes and was just flipping through them, like looking for like how much spare change I had. And I saw like the earlier names and I was like, wow, that mysterious man in the tavern. Wonder when he's gonna show up. And it's right now.
I had forgotten about him completely.
I wrote that fucker down. I knew he had some shifty business with us. But turns out it was good shifty business.
And now you know there may be more. Yeah, so you guys head to your rooms for the night. Kind of tuck in and drift off to a, for the most part, restful sleep. I think we'll call it there for tonight.
Yeah. Works. We can try to spend the next week figuring out what the fuck we do next.
It's always the funnest part.
I do have to say, if we leave right away, Key's going to ask for, instead of a refund, to take the 2 books she really wants to read with her.
Gimme.
We could catch up to the caravan like as they're leaving town and be like, wait, we're coming with you again.
But what if they're going south and we want to go west?
I'm personally torn because on the one hand, he implied that this rainstorm is something completely different, and part of me is like, we should investigate the mystery of the rainstorm and just do stuff here since we already got all the way here. But part of me wonders, this could just be us like catapulting into more trouble with the Inquisition. Maybe we should cut our losses. And I do want to go hunt down dragons. Like, I'm excited for that too, personally. But it's also like a long way to go on a rumor.
Well, he also implied it could just be a rainstorm.
It's true.
But we have seen that it doesn't seem to be, considering how far out it seems to go.
This whole country seems kind of haunted right now, and that feels more than a coincidence.
Ugh, the opportunities we have.
But yeah, I'm definitely excited. Like, I always love a good like reveal towards the lore and backstory and figuring out what we're actually doing in something.
That was fun.
I'm still excited, of course, for like the little stories along the way. Like we got into a village and we fought a vampire and stuff like that. But it's just exciting.
The overall arcing story
Yes.
of it. Cool. I'm glad you guys like it. You're having fun. So, little fun bit of it. I don't know if this will actually happen or not, but so Cece loves to draw. She draws all the time on her iPad and stuff like that. She's also doing animation. So tonight, I asked her if she wanted to, if we gave her descriptions of characters, go through, you know, she can take her time on it, but go through and animate just a little thing for it as an intro to the stream. She's not sure if she wants to do it. She says it depends on if she likes it or not, because if she doesn't like it, she's not going to do it. But if she actually likes doing it, then she'll do it.
Sounds good to me.
Yeah, that's exciting too. That's really cool.
So, I mean, I don't know how to really describe her art style. I don't know. But yeah, so I don't know if that'll take off or not. But kind of hoping she tries at least to do something.
That's very cool.
No pressure, but very fun if it happens.
I'm hoping I can figure out how to get this damn green screen to work right so I can actually have, like, something back behind me.
Give yourself like a story time fireplace.
Yeah. That or just, like, worlds going by.
Whenever we meet like a plot relevant NPC, it's just like starscapes and weird dramatic stuff. The Celestial War, the Great Mage Wars.
Dragons.
Dragon. So, alright. Anybody out there watching? Thanks for sticking around.
Yeah, thank you.
We'll be back next week. Stay safe. Have a good week.
Bye.